Hello there, everybody.
Yeah.
And now we're live.
I hate you, but that voice is great.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to see that you're enjoying the show. Oh, boy. So, what's up with you guys?
It's funny. On the YouTubes here, Hank Hill said I'm stuck in VR, and in fact, it was my wife who was stuck in VR, and I was having to pull her out of it.
What in the world are you talking about?
What is
The chat.
The chat, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get there. Just give me a second.
All right.
It's not that hard. You know how to use the internet?
Oh.
The truth hurts. Etc. Etc.
Yep.
I'm gonna switch to night mode.
Yeah.
Is that like Baywatch nights?
Not
Exactly
even
like
remotely
Baywatch
like Baywatch Nights.
I'm gonna hit record on my recording.
Yes,
Oh, I've been doing that for
also going.
Oh,
2
I
minutes
will-
and 34 seconds.
Oh, nice.
I have also hit record.
I have not hit record
All
yet,
right.
but now I have.
Let's talk about mobile. Everyone be bored.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna do one of them clappy claps.
Clappity.
Yeah.
Clappity claps.
Clappity, clappity.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. We did it.
You know who was great at clapping? Bruce Campbell. That guy could
Yeah.
clap with the best of them.
Just let Phil get this out of his system for a second.
Very versatile.
What about his dual role?
Ah, a stunning dual role.
Stunning dual role.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the clap master and the wrestling announcer.
Just always the wrestling announcer.
Of course.
Hmm.
And the Briscoe Master Cowboy.
What? That's not.
He played the Briscoe Master Cowboy. Team Cowboy from Beyond the Stars.
I don't think so.
What I love is that Phil's not even paying attention. He's doing something. He's like building Lego or something down there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
transforming Psykill.
See, there we go. Oh, Psykill.
Yes, indeed. Ooh, Machine Robo, Bike Robo. The intergalactic motorcycle man from beyond the moon.
There it is.
Yes,
All right.
indeed.
There it is.
Ready to go?
I'm been ready. I was born ready.
Anytime you're ready.
Hello and welcome to episode 516 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, September 27th, 2016. I'm your host, Greg Seward. With me, as always, shirking his hosting duties for yet another week is the inevitable Chris Johnston.
Yeah. I think now I got you to host 2 weeks in a row. We can go for a third, probably. You just keep this.
I really don't
keep
feel
this
like
train
that's
rolling.
happening at all.
Ugh.
And joining us from the great state of California is the one, the only, the director who likes to transform his GoBots on air, Sam Raimi.
Why, hello there, everybody. I'm excited that everyone's here for my directorial debut. We're going to have a grand old time, rest assured.
Let's see if you hold that voice up through the whole show.
Oh, you know I could.
I'm sure that you could,
It's
actually.
a question of is that really look deep inside your heart, CJ, and ask yourself, is this really what I want?
No, because you're getting a little too close to the microphone still. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting too close to the microphone.
Yeah.
And joining us also from California, he's back from virtual reality to tell us about sunsetting. Again.
A one-trick
Einhorn.
pony. Unlike Bruce Campbell, who's incredibly versatile.
So it's been a good weekend. Took the kids to go see Storks, which was fine. But actually, what was more exciting was to see 4 different colored posters that said Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Looking really, really forward to that reboot.
4?
Yeah, there was a different colored Power Ranger for every poster. And my wife was asking if I ever saw the original movie, and I said, yeah. And she said, oh, did you see that like when you were, in junior high or something? She didn't understand like, what the timelines were. And I said, no, I saw that when I was in college. The original movie.
Yeah.
Which didn't leave her impressed, but looking forward to that. It's been a good weekend, and
then you said to her, "Allow me to show you what I call my Ivan ooze."
Actually, speaking of Ivan Ooze, that's one other thing. The actor, I have something about this. Yeah.
Boy, he's been waiting to share this. One of these days, someone's going to bring up Ivan ooze, and I have a story to tell.
The actor who plays Ivan Ooze also plays Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, really?
So think about that next time you hear Harrison Ford say Belloc. He's talking about Ivan Ooze. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. I still don't know what we're talking about, but
No.
we're here for another week. CJ's making me host again, so I'll start.
Yeah, why is that?
Because I'm again, it's a dad-only weekend for me, so I may have to rush out at the drop of a hat.
Charlotte's cooking dinner for the two of them, and
That's right.
CJ doesn't want to be completely irresponsible and ignore her if she screams.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
So let's jump into the news here right off the bat. I didn't put these together. CJ did, but I'm still going to talk about them. So let's get this out of the way. I don't know how much we're going to talk about this, although I think there's a pretty decent tweet that came out of it.
Although I'll say this, I bet Palmer's not feeling so lucky these days.
There you go.
Oh my God!
Wow.
So that was the big news this week is that the Oculus Rift guy Palmer Luckey,
AKA
almost
Nimble Rich Man.
Yeah, the almost internet billionaire. I don't think he's quite a billionaire. It was revealed this week. He actually revealed this week.
Did he reveal?
Yeah,
Reveal. It was a Daily Beast, wasn't it? Like a Daily
but
Beast.
he admitted it.
He admitted it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So at first he denied it, and then he admitted it. Basically, that
Then
he
he
was funding,
denied it again.
He denied it again. Yeah.
funding an alt-right, pro-Trump, anti-Hillary meme organization from Reddit or something like that.
Something like that.
I think
How do you get to be a part of a meme organization?
I don't know, and that's like I was reading the article, and that was the thing that really got me about it was that all the ridiculousness aside, and whatever, is that this is their actual description for their group is I just had it. Where is it? A shit posting meme. Like it's just so ridiculous. Just the
Well, I do remember. I remember when he talked to Daily Beast, he said, I quote, that he thought it would be jolly good fun to be a part of it.
Jolly good fun. That was his quote.
Oh,
So,
Lord.
Basically, anyway, he's been ousted as.
He put on the accent for it. I figured it would be a jolly good show.
Yes. So of course, and it's in one of the main guys behind it is also that dude from Breitbart, who was like kicked off Twitter earlier this year for
banned from Twitter.
I believe you're referring to Milo.
I don't think I'm referring to Milo.
Different Milo.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Now we know.
So
what
anyway,
happened to
there's
Milo.
been clearly,
After my father abandoned me, that's what became of me. It's the same Milo, you see.
That would
Go ahead.
explain a lot, actually. He would have a lot of anger. So clearly it was a big backlash over this. A couple major things happened. One was there was actually sort of some major business ramifications for Oculus Rift in that some companies that were going to be publishing games for the Oculus actually backed out. The biggest, probably the highest profile one being Polytron, which is the group that did Fez, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So they basically came out and said, in a political climate as fragile and horrifying as this one, we cannot tacitly endorse the actions of Palmer Luckey in this group by supporting him or his platform.
There you go.
So that's the upcoming VR release, Super Hypercube, that will now not be supporting the Oculus Rift.
Well, and I do wonder, and this I'm just not clear on, since he is not the CEO of Oculus, that is someone else. I know
He's
is
the face of it, though.
founder. Right. No, I
Yeah,
get
he's
that.
a co-founder, right?
But I wonder what his day-to-day responsibilities are at this point.
I read that in one of the articles. He's still there as part of like research or VR visionary or something like that. He's got some title like that where, you know, he seems like he's just still the face of it. Although I
It's a
doubt that'll be the case
decorative
after
title,
this.
honorary title.
I doubt that'll be the case after this. So,
yeah.
And then of course the other thing that came out of this was Gizmodo, I believe, is the group that did this. Ousted his girlfriend.
Oh, the Gamergate thing, yeah.
She's a gamer gator. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah, which I don't know. I mean, I guess that's relevant, but I don't know. Anyway, it's all a big mess, and you know,
The whole
go
thing's a
politics.
Everything's a mess. Is it going to be over in November? That'd be nice.
You know what? It's not. That's the thing. It's not,
It's
because it
not,
doesn't matter
exactly.
what happens in November. The U.S. has a problem. And
Well,
I'm not saying that if Hillary gets voted in,
Yeah,
that she's a
you know what the-
problem. I'm just saying
Whoa,
that there's
whoa. You know what
there's
our
a
problem is?
major rift in your country. So
An Oculus Rift?
an Oculus Rift.
America's problem is that it's almost too awesome. That's America's problem.
How awesome is it?
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
But there was a tweet, and now I'm trying to find it. CJ, I think you probably have it queued up.
Yeah. Hacker alias Decoder Otter
Yes.
says, to what extent does a creator's personal/political beliefs affect your ability to enjoy their content? Any examples?
Well, so I'll say, you know, on two ends of the spectrum with that. On the one hand, when I wanted to read the book Ender's Game, I chose to borrow Greg Ford's copy instead of buy it because I heard it's awesome sci-fi, but I did not want to support Orson Scott Card for his politics.
Yep.
You know, on the other end of the spectrum, you know, I know that like Clint Eastwood is like a super hardcore Republican, and I will still happily see and pay for any movie he does because I don't really care about his politics because they're different, but not something that you know, deeply offends me. You know.
Fair enough.
Sure.
So it's you're saying that it's a nuanced thing.
Well, if it's about hate, then I kind of have a problem with it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm going to agree with that. It's nuanced,
sure.
and if it's to the point of, you know, funding hate groups, then that's
Right.
that's the line. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
That wasn't nearly as big a discussion as I expected it to be.
That was no.
In continuing on with the shady shit in the video game industry, we've got a journalist for The Verge who took a job at Apple and worked there for a month or so without telling The Verge.
Wasn't it like 4 months ago?
No, it was like
no, it was only like a month or two.
July and August.
Was it somebody that joined the editorial team, or what were they doing?
It doesn't say what they were doing at Apple.
Okay.
in Apple, right? But he was Chris Ziegler is the editor in question. He was one of the founders at The Verge. He came over from Engadget, and he was doing like car tech pieces for The Verge. So
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
so
what that means, but
basically the Verge came out this week and posted that this guy, that Chris Ziegler, that he had left and gone to Apple without telling anyone, and that they,
without even like giving
quitting.
his notice or quitting The Verge. And apparently he didn't reply to any emails and just kind of.
Although what a gig for The Verge, where you can just not show up for work for 2 months and apparently continue to get a paycheck and
apparently
not have to really worry about anyone calling you out on it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. This is pretty cool of them, though. I mean, they've at least gone about this the right way, because they came out, with this note that basically said, like, the editorial director, Lockhart Steele, stepped in and conducted an independent review of the work and staff interactions with Chris during the time he was at Apple. and Vox Media, and to determine if there's conflict had manifested itself. And they're saying that there wasn't, but that they're going to keep an eye on it. And if there was, that they will be, adding notes to those articles pointing back to this sort of mea culpa article. But yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Being able to take on, because it's not like Apple's a high profile company.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, I really wonder what the deal is with that. Like, why do people do something like that? We had something like that happen at EGM. I don't know if you remember. Might have been before your time, where someone just disappeared.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Not completely unheard of. And hey, the Player One podcast had somebody disappear and go work at Apple too. There you go.
And that was a conflict of interest. So, on to more happy news. Apparently, Foxconn, which is the company that's manufacturing the PlayStation 4 Pro, among other things, obviously, they do iPhone as well, right?
Yep.
They make a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
they make a lot of different stuff.
Like,
But
chances are, if you own something that is an electronic device, it was probably made at Foxconn. Or there's a handful of other manufacturers that do it too, but yeah.
They've begun trialing Nintendo NX production.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what that means as far as the timeline goes.
We don't even have an announcement yet, but
I still think March. I think given that November and December they're eating it, they're not going to be allowed to go one more quarter that's dry.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think you could be right.
I'll still be surprised, but that's just me.
It'll be unheard of, really. I mean, what was it? The Xbox One is the soonest announcement to release.
The latest announcement before release, I think. Is
the latest announcement before release. Unless I guess you count the U.S. Saturn. Remember that thing? Happened?
Yeah, that announcement was seconds.
Yeah. But who knows? They could pull it off, right?
Well, I mean, considering that they're saying in this article that they've just begun production of the PS4 Pro.
Right.
And that's going on sale when?
November.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, they could definitely pull this off.
Certainly. Yeah, it's
major turnaround time.
You remember back in the 360 and PS3 days when like production had to start months and months before. And now you have these manufacturing giants out of China like Pegatron and Foxconn, and there are a couple others in a similar position where they just like bang out systems like nobody's business. So,
Lord business.
Certainly possible. Exactly.
I didn't read this other headline you got here about the Ubisoft CEO praising the Nintendo NX.
So yeah, Yves Guillemot, right?
Yves Guillemot, yes.
But they're always their big one. I mean, I don't think they've missed a single launch window for a Nintendo platform.
I don't think they have either.
They're super aggressive at launch, yeah.
They are, yeah, always. And the CEO of Ubisoft made a comment to IGN that he likes the NX.
That's it? That's what this headline is?
He says, I think, once again, the interface is very attractive. It's a machine that will be easy to use for all gamers. They've built something that will give us the chance to really have a different experience from what exists today. That's what I like, that they come with something new that is adapted to what we actually want now.
So so really he's not saying anything.
No.
Yeah. No.
Well, and I remember, and of course you're always going to get that kind of positive quote, except I do remember when the N-Gage was shown, Riccatello said publicly, I knew this thing was going to be a dog the moment I put my hands on it. I mean, it's very rare when you hear someone on an executive level slam something, but I do remember that instance. Otherwise, of course, you're going to expect them to say
clearly a huge misstep, though.
And that thing was awful.
Nintendo behind it. Riccatello, of course, being from Electronic Arts, for anybody who's curious about that. Here's my favorite thing that CJ put on our little outline here. Did you even see the Sonic Mania Collector's Edition commercial this week?
I did.
No,
because I put it on the outline.
I did not see the commercial.
So it was basically, Phil, you might remember this though. Do you remember the Sonic 2 commercial back in the early '90s where it was a play on like low budget infomercials. It's like makes dozens
No.
of julienne fries. The Sonic 2
Right.
fits in any tackle box. Well, they basically did an homage to that for the Sonic Mania CE. It's pretty good. It's not quite as creative, but they actually reused some footage from the old infomercial, and they make a decent amount of references to it. So you should check it out. It's pretty funny. It's cute.
Yeah, and I'll say also that on the community side, a guy that pops up in that video is a guy named Aaron Weber, who does all the community stuff now for Sonic in the West, and he is really in the know with that stuff. I mean, he's super savvy. He can remember, everything that was going on back in the '90s when Sonic was being launched, and was one of the few people to actually make the move to LA when Sega of America moved over there. So it's kind of neat to see him continuing to focus on things that Sonic fans will appreciate.
Yeah, it was a very cool idea, and I have mine pre-ordered. So,
Of course you do.
one last thing here that CJ put on. I love this. That I'm just really repeating what CJ wrote on this.
That's
right.
right.
Contra. Contra is coming out for the PlayStation 4 this Tuesday. Today, if you're listening to this on iTunes.
Right. Arcade
The
Archives.
Arcade.
The Arcade Archives version, so prepare to be disappointed.
Yeah, that one is just not so good.
No,
Be
it's
not
really
as good as the NES version one.
No, this is one of those times. Well, this actually happened a lot of times on the NES, where the NES version was a much better game. Bionic Commando being another good example. The arcade version of Bionic Commando was pretty rough. But yeah, it's still cool. It'll be probably worth grabbing because it's different. It's not something you see all the time. I don't think you probably said that a lot of people had never even played Contra, the arcade version of Contra.
I think I maybe played it once.
I played it on some compilation somewhere. That would be it.
I remember the screen aspect ratio being really strange. Like
It's
like a tall
the same as it's a tall screen.
Yeah, it's tall.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because there were like cabinet conversions or what. I don't know what the deal was with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Contra coming out for PlayStation 4 today if you're listening to this on iTunes. On Tuesday if you're not. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to call this out. 3 months till Christmas.
Oh,
Dun
geez.
dun dun.
Hope your credit cards are ready. Oh.
That's a good time. Good time.
It is good times. All right. We're going to jump into what you've been playing because that news, I got to tell you, CJ, that news lineup was a bust.
Not very much happened last week.
I'm calling you out, Johnston.
Right? It's not my fault.
Well,
Not my
CJ,
fault.
when that happens, we're kind of expecting you to make news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was such short notice.
Well, I mean, like, say if Miyamoto's in town, go up and, give him a kiss or slap him in the face. Something like that, that just becomes newsworthy.
That's your thing. You're all about slapping Miyamoto. That's not my thing.
No, you can just slapping his Miyamoto again. Just another Friday.
Yeah.
Let's play some. Let's play. What you been playing? Let's talk about what we've been playing. We're gonna start since Ethan didn't fill out what you've been playing on the outline. He's going first.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, so as you guys can imagine, I've been spending a lot of time with the HTC Vive. Really been enjoying another set of games, and the tilt brush actually is something that has absolutely blown my mind. I know, CJ, you've taken a look at that, right?
Oh yeah, that thing's great. I love it.
It is. So the thing is it's like it's 3D painting. So you're basically sculpting, and when you see what other people are doing online, it's really an impressive piece of technology. It's also one of the most fun things to show people. And so just before the show started, I was showing my wife, who was freaking out and wanting to show the other people that she works with at school because they're all a part of the art program at the school she works at. So it's really, really neat stuff. But beyond that, things I've been playing include the Space Pirate Trainer. I don't know if you've played around with that one.
I love Space Pirate Trainer. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a shooting gallery game, but surprising how much fun it can be, especially when you get into the shields and moving around, and you really get into it. It's good.
I find games tend to get more exciting when you get to the part where you move around.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty
room scale VR, man. When you're
really
jumping out of the way of bullets.
Wow, jumping and moving.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
best
if the
game
future's
ever, and
ready.
all I've done is enter my name.
I don't know if the future's ready for virtual reality yet. If you're jumping and moving
Oh man.
in one game.
So that was nice, but also what was really cool was that Tilt Brush and 2 other games were given to me for free from Microsoft. So I also got a game called The Gallery Episode 1, Call of the Starseed, which is an interesting one because it's usually $30 and I beat it in 2 hours. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because on the one hand, it's this really impressive, immersive thing. It's kind of like a Sierra adventure game presented in first person, where you can pick up anything and use it. I talked about it a little bit last week, but I was surprised how quickly it ended. And it's very impressive. It was an exciting experience. But what would you guys expect in this new space from a pricing standpoint? Like, if a game is giving you tons of production value and tons of content, and this thing was clearly very expensive to make, more expensive to make than something like Space Pirate Simulator, right? But because it's all content driven, it's short. What's your thought on it?
Don't everybody jump up at once.
I mean, what are you expecting from pricing? Because it's going to be a PlayStation question as well, because a lot of these games are coming there.
Well, what is it? Raw data. You were talking about raw data last week, right? That's $39.99, I think.
That's $49.
$49. Okay, and that was one of the big things they were touting is that they were the first VR game to make $1 million, right? That was like their
in 1 month. Yeah,
1 month. Yeah. So. If a game's going to be 2 hours, it better be a damn good 2 hours, but I would probably pay upwards of $29 for a 2 hour, like depending on the experience. Because right now, you play games like Gone Home and other like experiential games that are maybe short, but a lot of those are $19. So a VR game, I would expect to pay more than $19, but I personally probably wouldn't pay more than 30, maybe 40
for a 2-hour game.
Yeah,
depends. It depends.
That seems awfully high for 2 hours. I don't
well,
care
and
what
again,
2 hours is.
Depends what the reviews are.
Here's always the challenge with number of hours. Also, is that again, you can look at a number of games where, again, like Space Pirate Trainer, it's a shooter, and so you can play it over and over again and play it like regularly across the course of a couple months. But the actual content that they've built for you is much less than the content that
Sure.
I got to experience in this 2-hour game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things in terms of what do you value. I'll just be interested in seeing.
But the thing with Space Pirate Trainer, I will say, is that they have been updating that game fairly constantly with new stuff and new leaderboards and new things. So
And you're not paying extra for it?
No.
That's something.
Yeah, no, that's true. And again, part of the magic this week has been sharing not only with my wife but my kids the games. And so watching my daughter Winnie just giggle when she was playing the tutorial that Steam builds. I mean, Steam is so Valve is so good at making great experiences that even the Vive tutorial is just something you really enjoy and want to play a second time once you've done it.
So how much is this gallery game that you spent 2 hours with?
That one is $30.
$30.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's probably the high end of what I would want to pay for something.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that having a full understanding of the cost of creating something like that, and if it's like very content heavy, obviously, yes, you feel like you should be able to charge more, but at the same time, from the user perspective, and 30 is high end. And the thing is, when I'm saying that I'm willing to pay 30. Then you also throw in the fact that I'll actually be paying whatever the equivalent is in Canadian. And it's
Sure.
It's pushing it to
so Hackerlius Thorbon3 in the chat says that PSVR games run from $19.99 to $59.99. Batman VR is apparently $19.99.
And I wonder how both PSVR and Oculus are going to do room space if they do, because I know that the Oculus touch controllers are coming out, and actually something that
They're
wasn't
expensive.
Yeah, I was about to say we didn't
Expensive.
cover in the news, but it's a couple $100,
Well,
isn't it?
I mean, they're direct deposits to Trump's campaign account, aren't they? When you buy one?
Was it like $200 or $250 each?
Yeah,
something like
which
that?
brings it up to the
What?
cost of the Vive. Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
At least that's in the UK. Well, I'm assuming
See,
that it's going to be the same here. Yep.
VR
Well, and
is
my
pricey.
You know what? This is
Yes.
that's the whole reason why I'm so concerned about the future of VR, because
Yeah.
the price is just astronomical.
Well, and
Yeah,
also it's the space. So I mean, the thing is I've been able to figure out how, again, with moving the table, to get a reasonable space for room scale, but it's at its best when it's 15 feet by 15 feet. Right. And then you can really walk around and have an amazing time. But who has that space in their house? There are people in the Midwest who can in their basements, but certainly not in San Francisco.
Also, the same reason why you're not going to see any of this stuff catch on in a place like Japan.
Right. Yeah. So, and again, that brings me back to the PlayStation VR and Oculus. It doesn't seem like either of them are designed to be able to do room scale. My
No,
understanding
definitely
with Oculus, even when you have the touch controllers, is that the way the cameras work, because they have two cameras that are going to be set up in front of your PC, basically, that front facing is what's valuable. But apparently Job Simulator and Fantastic Contraption and games like that have to be kind of rebuilt so that it's not full room scale and it's more front facing camera. Is that right, CJ?
That's my understanding, yeah.
That would make sense.
I think it's going to be super interesting to see what happens when the public gets their hands on PSVR and just how easy it is to set everything up in terms of everybody's living space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
I still think that'll be the savior of VR this year. I really do. I think
the PSVR.
That'll be the reason VR survives this year. And Thorbon in the chat mentioned VR Japanese arcades, which, yes, that is a thing.
That's true.
I was actually watching a video about that. A friend of mine showed me a video about that this weekend. Very cool. But
I think Namco.
That's not really going to be. Yeah, it's a Namco thing. But it's not the same.
There are problems with it too. I was just talking to somebody who was looking to finance something like that and had gotten pretty far into it. And the biggest problem that they ended up having is that these devices, that's a huge part of it. Yes, staffing. Yeah. And the staffing is tied to the fact that these are fragile devices that have to be placed on people. If you think about a regular arcade, people just hammer those machines, right? They are designed to take a beating. You can't rely on that with VR unless you have it staffed. And then the staffing also is important for just basic security stuff like camera, making sure no one takes your wallet or, you get groped or anything like that.
Well, that's just it, right? Yeah, and that there was I'll have to see if I can find the link to it. That this video my friend showed me, because it's actually pretty fascinating and very cool. Because on the flip side of that, you're not just standing in an open space and playing. Like they had like a skiing game, which I'm convinced that Namco just repurposed their old skiing arcade games, because it was the exact same controllers where you have your feet together and they can tilt left and right, and the whole piece that you're standing in can move left and right. And then there was another one that they showed where the whole experience was you were standing on like a girder or something, and you had to go get a stuffed cat. But the thing is that it seemed much more immersive than it would be otherwise, because you're in a room that you're standing on a plank that's on a hinge, so it can move a little bit. And it looked like they had I don't think they had motion controllers, but they were wearing gloves that had motion trackers on them. And same thing with they were wearing like Crocs, but they had like the ping pong balls attached to them, so you could actually see your feet and see your hands. And then the little stuffed cat you had to get was actually a little stuffed cat that had motion tracker stuff on it as well. But the thing is like that's super cool, because you're not going to get that experience in your home. But two things there: do you want to spend $50 for that experience? And the other thing is that like everything they showed in this arcade, they had a staffer, like Ethan just said, and one of their big jobs was something that we talked about, I think, last week, which was chord management.
Yep.
because
Yes.
the cords were tethered, like they were tethered to a rail system on the ceiling, which is exactly the way to do it. But even then, like they were moving the rail, they were moving the cords around and making sure that they didn't get tangled up and things like that. So
Yeah.
you know, it's yeah.
It's the first thing people think about when they try these games because they do feel like really elaborate Dave and Buster games in many respects.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's again part of the problem of the home experience is they do at this point pretty much feel like demos. Though, Greg, you might be interested to know, I did buy Project Cars. And that is a seated experience, and the 3D effect really is pretty spectacular there.
Seated experiences are where VR, you're going to feel like you're getting full games in VR at first.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like other than that, and even then, like if you don't have a seat with a steering wheel, we're kind of getting back to that situation that we had back in like the 80s and 90s where the arcade experience is a much more complete experience.
Yeah.
You know, like playing Outrun sitting in the car with a steering wheel is much cooler than playing Outrun using a Genesis controller.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, and you know something else that has struck me, that hearing a couple of different reports, and I'd love to talk to Kevin about this sometime, but there are personal trainers now that are setting up routines based on a set of Vive games because it's so active that you're actually like making yourself sweat and you're burning some calories while you're playing. It's not like a full on go to the gym workout, but it's something that if you're putting hours into it, can do cardio.
Get that face thing all.
I was just gonna say one of the things.
Yeah.
One of the things that I loved about the video I was watching too is that because we were in a public place, they were putting what basically the equivalent of the toilet seat protector on their faces.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, tissue paper around your eyes. It was great.
So the and the other thing is, CJ, did you have a chance to mess around with Fantastic Contraption at all?
Not really. No.
Okay, so
I've seen
it's kind of like a fully 3D Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, where you are creating these different machines that have to then move on their own, and it's really intuitive and surprisingly satisfying to create your own devices to try to complete goals in 3D, and you're actually physically walking 360 degrees around the thing to get it built and set up.
Yeah, I mean, VR. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it's at the beginning, and it's at this point where people are going to judge it based on the first experience they have with it, and I hope it's good.
And the price of admission is so high.
The price of admission is so high. If people buy this thing without trying it and then discover that it makes them motion sick, it's just going to be a bad scene. So.
Well, even best case scenario, like I gotta say, when I was showing my wife tonight, it was the first time she's had a chance to play it, and ultimately she had a great time. But the very first demo I showed her, she lost tracking several times, so it went to a gray screen. She lost some hand tracking, and the crazy thing is, it's like that never happened to me. She knocked something into a wall that displaced one of the light boxes. So for a while she was playing with one light box, and it's like everything that could go wrong did, and so she had a good experience, but not as good as the one I had. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So speaking on the kind of technology side of things, as I mentioned last week, I've been not doing any PC gaming at all until just now. And so being somebody who has really loved remote play and the Xbox streaming and second screen for Wii U, I'm now jumping into Steam's streaming, and the technology is really impressive. So streaming to my laptop, when I turn on Steam now, it's just any game that my laptop can't run, it has the option of streaming, and it runs like it's native. It's really, really nice. And then also I'm getting a workout for my NVIDIA Shield, which is super, super handy to be able to stream things kind of, Vita style, but, it's a full controller, which feels really good too. Yeah. So that's been fun to play with. Also, it's been nice to finally get in some of those Steam sales. So it felt good to buy like Deus Ex, Director's Cut for $5,
Fantastic.
And start messing around with that. Yeah. But it's been a fun week, mostly, about that. Last thing I'll say is on the Vita side, I did end up playing more Steins Gate. And what's interesting is I still love the story, but man, it takes a turn, and this won't spoil anything. I promise. I've learned my lessons, right? But just the way on a political kind of level it deals with a transsexual character is like just so jarring and not American the way it's handled that it's like it just feels so insensitive. And again, I'm still rolling with it and just accepting that it's from a different culture, but it's really interesting when you hit that, and it's a game that is not so mass market that they don't change it to make it more palatable. I think it's better to play, the original version as it was intended, but it's really strange when you look at these like really niche games, just how different things are presented. Basically, it's a situation where like all the characters suddenly become deeply attracted to this transsexual characters, and some become very uncomfortable with that. And just the way they talk to each other about it is really weird. So yeah, but
right.
that's what I've been playing.
I did not expect that to go that direction. Hey Phil, what have you been playing this week?
I have been playing a game that doesn't deal with any sort of transgender politics.
Why? Why bother?
Well, because it's Finn and Jake, Adventure Time, Finn and Jake Investigations, which I totally picked up on the flash sale that's going on right now. On PSN.
Is that a PlayStation game?
It's a PSN game.
Right.
I mean, it's on PS4. It's on pretty much every major system.
Okay.
These
days.
All right. Yes, it's a graphic adventure game in the Adventure Time style. So
excellent.
I've only played a little bit, maybe about an hour's worth so far. My son Finn and I were just playing it right before the show.
Does he know he was named after a cartoon character?
He knows he shares a name with a cartoon character.
You haven't told him?
When are you going to break that to him?
Yeah.
Prom night.
30.
Prom night.
Prom night.
There you go.
By the way, you're named after a cartoon. Have a good time.
What?
So we've just been playing it. It's a cute little, my first adventure game, kind of adventure game. I also picked up on the sale, but haven't had a chance to play it really yet, is One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. So I'm excited about that.
I was thinking about getting that one.
All will be
Muso. Haven't.
All will be Muso.
I do enjoy the licensed Muso games.
There you go. This is your opportunity.
Yep.
So
I do like One Piece too.
Yeah, see? It's perfect. It's perfect for you.
That's true.
You should totally pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah, that's I've been saving my game time for next week because Tuesday is the launch of Lego Dimensions Year 2.
Is it?
Oh, nice.
Yes, it is.
Ho 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 ho. What does that mean?
Yes, it is.
Means there's a whole lot more money I'm going to spend that I don't have.
That means what is coming out on Tuesday?
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up on what's coming out in what order.
The Ghostbusters new level set with the new skin build for the portal, plus you play through the whole movie. That's
the new
coming.
Skin build for the portal. What do you mean by that?
With Year 2, because we're not getting a full-fledged sequel, what they are doing is having you have the level packs that we've had before, like with Portal and Simpsons and that sort of thing. But they are doing larger level packs where it's like, I think the retail price is like $50, and you're playing through a whole movie. It's a whole new large set of levels. First one due out is the one based on the new Ghostbuster movie. This like November, there's one based on the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Right.
And then I believe it's either January or February, there's one coming out based on the Lego Batman movie.
Damn.
I see.
Yeah.
Hacker Alias Thorbon3 in the chat asks if you're buying the Supergirl starter pack, because the only way to get Supergirl is by buying the game again.
Not yet. Not yet. But
So
we'll see.
That was such a CJ I'm not buying this moment.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they're called story packs is what these new packs are. So
okay, I was not aware.
Yeah, so you get a bunch of several new levels. You get, of course, the a new figure, a new little vehicle, and then the portal where you have the big.
That's why I was asking.
The big Stargate build. Now you can. It has different builds for your portal. So instead of having,
it's still the same set.
It's still the same functionality. It's just instead of looking like a big Stargate, the Ghostbusters one looks like the Chinese restaurant that they.
Oh, so it is a new set of bricks then. Is what
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I was curious about. So, but it still works on the same old portal. You're not buying a new. I shouldn't say portal.
No.
Pedestal. You're still using the old pedestal.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm looking. I keep looking over here because my portal's sitting right there.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally a new skin that you build for the portal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The thing I've always loved about the Lego Dimension stuff too is it definitely appeals to younger kids. I can say that having a 6-year-old that adores it, but the brands that they've been choosing also just appeal so well to people our age.
They know who's
Back to the Future.
I mean, the game's obviously geared for kids, but they recognize that it's the grown-ups buying it for the kids. So
yeah, but I mean on a level that you absolutely do not feel with something like Disney Infinity.
Right.
No. That was clearly a kid's game, period. Like
So
it's funny
what's that?
It's funny just because I actually fired up Lego Dimensions the other night for the first time in a long time.
Nice.
Because I still haven't finished the story in that game. But I was actually at the midway section. So, started off, you're in basically a Lego version of Defender. And then it's actually really well done. And I assume you've played it, Phil. And I'm not talking about the level pack. I'm just talking about the in-game.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the in-game midway stuff yet.
Okay, well, it's pretty neat because you're basically jumping through a few different classic midway games. You start with Defender, although it's kind of happening above you. You're not involved in it. You're just on the ground trying to find pieces. But then you one of the things I really liked is you jump into Gauntlet. So you're literally just playing Gauntlet, but done in the Lego Dimensions style. So it's all from the overhead view. And it uses a lot of the old sound effects. And if you play as Gandalf,
oh, nice!
When you're dying, you actually hear "Wizard needs food badly," but only when you're playing as Gandalf.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's great!
It's just a really nice little touch, right?
That's cute.
And you play Super Sprint, which again you jump in and it's an overhead perspective, and you're playing Super Sprint, but with Lego characters and vehicles.
Nice.
That's brilliant. That's great.
And then the end is Berserk, and it's all sort of done in a 2D style. It's just a very cool little thing. But I have the level pack here. It's the last of the original set of level packs that I bought that I haven't actually opened yet. So that'll be the next thing I do is play that. But now that's coming out soon, I kind of need to finish that game up finally.
Yeah,
a fair amount of time to go too.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters story pack is due out. The Mission Impossible level pack is due out.
I mentioned both of those.
Yeah, Harry Potter team pack with Harry and Voldemort, and then 2 vehicles. Also, the Adventure Time level pack.
Not so much interested in that.
The Adventure Time team pack, both of which I'm super interested in, and the A-Team fun pack.
A-Team, oh my god!
You want your BA Baracus and the van.
I need to sell a kidney or something.
Yeah, that's worth getting. November, the Gremlin stuff comes out.
See, there's another one that I'm definitely want.
Yeah.
And of course, Sonic is next year, I think.
No, Sonic's November as well. The Sonic level pack is November.
And, that one I'm definitely picking up.
Well, yeah. And then they announced is it in February, we're getting the Lego Batman movie, I believe, and Knight Rider. The Knight Rider fun pack.
God, Knight Rider. I forgot about Knight Rider.
That is cool.
They really are choosing, like, none of those, almost not, I shouldn't say none of those, but most of those my kids would not give two craps about. Like, Gremlins, they don't even know what Gremlins are. Like,
but they sure know what Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
That'll be the big one for them.
Yes.
And they're going to know what the Lego Batman movie is.
Yes.
So,
Ghostbusters,
you're getting this, they're getting this kind of half and half, for the kids and for the adults. buying the game for the kids.
I'd love to see them do Batman 66 also, because those toys are just so awesome. The
That would be cool.
figures. Yeah.
That
that
would
was
be cool.
I came very close to buying that Batcave set. Mostly
Well,
for the car.
They're actually taking that pretty far. The comic series is also pretty good, and they're introducing characters like Bane and Poison Ivy, who were never actually in the 66 series.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and also this Tuesday, or the 10th rather, they're bringing to theaters a Adam West 66 themed animated DC movie.
Yep.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yep.
That's so awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What, you been playing anything else, Phil?
No, that's about it.
Before we jump to the other folks, something I did want to mention before I forget it. So I went over to a friend's house and saw 4K gaming, quote unquote, for the first time. He was very excited about showing his monitor, and it when I was seeing like the nature stuff, it looked incredible. But he showed me a video of Mass Effect Andromeda that the announcer in the video was saying, "Look, if you're not watching this in 4K, don't watch it, because the whole point is to show you how amazing 4K is." And it did look sharper, but I really couldn't tell much of a difference. And I don't, and I just, for anyone else who has experienced 4K, I was wondering if I'm crazy or if that's a consistent experience.
I haven't experienced 4K.
That's sort of the problem, though. I mean, that is the marketing hurdle that has to be cleared, right? It has to be like a dramatic enough difference. And if you don't see it the first time where you're like really looking for it, then you're not going to be sold on a 4K capable machine.
Right. So just again, since I'd never experienced before that experience, I wanted to bring it up.
It's I mean, we've talked about this before, but I know that for me, like, yeah, I want to get a 4K TV eventually, but it's definitely not a feature that's making me think, oh, I really want a new TV right now.
No.
It's like when I sort of naturally get to the point that I want to get a new TV, yeah, it'll be 4K, sure. But
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really jumping up and down about the new console iterations either. CJ, what have you been playing?
Well, I put a little more time into Recore on the Xbox One. It's a pretty competent action game. I like the shooting in it. It looks good. It does have this mechanic that I don't like, or I don't really like, though. So you shoot these monsters, and part of the thing in the game is you're collecting these power cores out of enemies and such to bring back to your cruiser and use to like craft new stuff for your robot companions that follow you around in the game. So one of the way that you do that is you shoot an enemy until you get them down to a certain health level, and then you throw a tether to them and pull out their power core. And when you do that, there's sort of like, it feels like a fishing mini game, because like the tether goes red when you're supposed to like lay off of it or whatever, and you're supposed to wait until there's no more tension on the line and then continue to pull. So that would be fine if there weren't other enemies shooting at you while you're doing this whole thing, and while you have basically no recourse.
Nice.
In terms of like jumping out of the way of their attacks or something like that. So you want to collect these power cores, but when you try to do it, it's like you get shot from all sides, and it's just it's kind of ridiculous. The combat feels good with the shooting part, not so much with the extracting cores part.
So it sounds like you might be trying to take back the 6.5.
I didn't say 6.5.
Okay.
I didn't say
you're describing it 6.5. That's what it sounds like.
I didn't give this a rating whatsoever. I mean, I like the story, I like the graphics, I like most of the gameplay except that whole thing. And there's a button to kind of do a little dash and get out of the way of attacks and such. That is surprisingly not as responsive. In the situations where you need it to be the most responsive, it's not. Like I was up against a boss character, because there are dungeons in this game, they're kind of set up like a Zelda type dungeon, where you'll need to find keys to access different doors and whatnot, and then there'll be a boss at the end of that. And so I was facing a boss, and couldn't get the dash to like quickly dash out of the way of this boss. Like I would jump and then dash away, but it just wasn't reacting fast. It was very weird. I don't know why.
So when you're saying the tethering thing, so you have to just like disengage in order to like, are you just a sitting duck while you're doing that? Or
As far as I can tell, you're a sitting duck. You can disengage.
Okay.
But it's not like you can do that quickly.
The reason I'm
kind of have to take a hit.
I was actually watching some footage of the most recent Tomb Raider this week, and it was reminding me that like that was my sole complaint with that game was the stealth. Well, I guess not really stealth kills, but melee kills. Because if you did a melee attack and you were close enough, she would go into one of her rather lengthy melee kill animations, but she would take damage while it was happening and you couldn't interrupt it at all.
Right.
So, that was like when you later in the game, there are some arenas where you're just going to get swarmed by enemies. And I just found myself constantly getting sucked into those animations and just taking a bunch of damage and dying. Yeah. So I was curious but it sounds like you can at least cancel it.
You kind of can, but it's not like instant or anything. Right. You can't like immediately cancel out and dash
Plus you have away. Plus I find stuff like that. I don't know if in ReCore if they changed the camera angle, but I found like in Tomb Raider, because they changed the camera angle, it's actually really disorienting. You had no idea which way you were facing by the end of it because the camera had swung around in front of her and
oops.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that.
Okay, that's good.
At least. Yeah.
Right.
But what else? It's an okay game, and I'll continue playing it at least for a little while until Forza Horizon 3 comes out, which we'll talk about in a minute. I've also been playing Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. I caved,
cracked,
and yep.
I've heard really good things from people about that port.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really nicely done.
It's very the translation is great. There's a lot of reading involved, of course. A lot of story. What is it?
Interesting to say.
JRPG Dragon Quest game, so of course there's a lot of reading. But I think you spend like the first hour not actually doing any battles. It's mostly walking around. And
I remember that when we reviewed the PS, and I never actually reviewed it, but I remember talking to the people who reviewed it at EGM because I was there at the time when we did that for the PS1 version.
Yeah,
and I think it might have been John Riccardi that mentioned that too. It's like the game goes a long time before you actually fight anything.
Right. Yeah. But I like Dragon Quest. I like the battle system. I like the simplicity of that. This is a really nice looking 3DS game. Like the port, it looks really great.
It looks great. Yeah.
I do find that so when you're exiting a town or like a sub area of the game and it goes to a new area, sometimes the camera isn't always easy to figure out where you are or like where you're facing. And if there's an enemy right in front of you, the enemies, it's not random battles. They actually show the enemies on the field. Occasionally, I'll just run into an enemy because I didn't see it there. And I began moving, and the camera wasn't at an advantageous spot for me. So I'll just run into an enemy and start a battle. So that's not great. But overall, it's a really fun Dragon Quest game, and I find Dragon Quest games really easy to pop in and out of, in part because you can do the party talk thing, where they'll tell you what you should be doing next.
Right. Yes.
So that is
was
good
that in the original or not?
I think it was.
No,
but it's been in the last couple that I've played anyway. I think it was in 9. Anyway,
that's really nice.
I have a bit of breaking news.
Breaking news.
I'm afraid
you broke something.
Just coming out of the wire. Reports just in that Arnold Palmer, the star of Arnold Palmer Tournament Golf for the Sega Genesis, has passed away at the age of 87.
87. I was going to say, yeah, because he was pretty old in the 90s.
Just
That's
hitting.
too bad.
hitting the Twitters right now.
All
Arnold
right.
Palmer passed away. So
Should link the Generation 16 segment, but
There you go.
Arnold Palmer golf in the show notes.
Should.
it's what he
Yeah.
would have wanted.
Because that's the thing. That the reason I'm saying I knew he was old back then, because when I did that episode, that came out in 89 or 90. I think it was 89, and he was already on the senior tour in 89.
Oh man. Well, and Greg, was that
87,
a great golf game, or was it the greatest golf game?
It was the greatest golf game on the Genesis at the time.
Very tactful.
In the only golf game on the Genesis.
Very tactful.
It was a pretty good game. It was, it was before sports games became as complex as they are now. So
It's no Lee Carvalho's putting challenge
or Lee Trevino's fighting golf.
or that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
that is too bad. But hey, Dragon Quest VII is a really good game for your 3DS if you're looking
There you
for
go.
a fun, laid-back JRPG. Those games are just relaxing. I don't know.
They are good games. Got to say, those Dragon Quest games. I think Riccardi might have been onto something.
But you know what, though?
Serious.
What's that?
Does Dragon Quest VII allow you to play a little miniature version of Fantasy Zone?
Because Arnold Palmer Golf did.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you
Um,
putted 99 times on the green without
Wow.
sinking the ball. That's how you unlock that game.
That's crazy.
And then you'd unlock
Where
a single screen, single level mini game of Fantasy Zone where all the sound effects were from Arnold Palmer Golf.
was the
Awesome.
ship? Was the ship actually Arnold Palmer shaped?
No, it was Opa Opa.
It was Opa Opa.
Oh,
One
you-
could say that Arnold Palmer was Opa Opa shaped. One could say.
I don't know why you would say that, because it wouldn't be true,
No.
but you could say it. You're
Well,
not wrong.
it's to celebrate the man's life.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. CJ, anything else?
That's
you got?
it. That's all.
Well, I only got one game to talk about. The game of the year 2016.
Ooh.
Is that a steelbook?
It is a steel book.
Yeah.
It's the Ultimate Edition, but it's the physical copy of the Ultimate Edition that came out early.
Yeah, they don't usually
Nice.
send the digital versions in a steelbook.
Yeah, but no, it's just I don't remember, because I know with Forza 6 you could get the game early if you got Ultimate, but I don't remember if that happened when you got the physical version of it. So I was a little bit worried because, of course, this week if you had pre-ordered the digital version of the Ultimate Edition, it unlocked on Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday.
Friday.
Or,
Yeah, you can play it early,
midnight
4
on
days
Thursday.
early or something.
And it's like, oh, that kind of sucks, but I had already pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition physical copy. And but hey, Amazon sent it, and I got it that day. So,
And the demo, I gotta say, really is kick ass. It's just gorgeous. I finally got a
really
chance this week to play it. So
and that is the first few events of the game itself. Like you're literally playing the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
well, so with the combination of that and Gears 4, it seems like yet again this is another holiday season where Microsoft's lineup for exclusive games is stronger.
Yeah, except now that they're all on PC
games too.
Yeah, and I may for Gears War actually try that out, because if you buy it on the Xbox One, you can play it on either platform.
You
right?
buy it digitally, yeah.
The same
And
with
can-
Forza and the same with Recore.
Yes, all their
Do you know?
digital crossplay.
Okay, so if they do that, do you know if that allows you to play it through Steam or not?
No.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it did.
None of the Microsoft first-party games are available on Steam. I think Quantum Break just came out.
Yeah,
or was
Quantum
just
Break
announced
is. Yeah.
for Steam, but the rest of them are not. At
Okay.
least for now.
That seems like a strange decision, but okay.
Well, that's Microsoft trying to have their own storefront.
Yeah,
right.
they want people to go to the Windows 10 store.
Yeah.
Or the Xbox store.
Good luck with that. Anyway, man, Forza Horizon 3. What a pretty game.
So good.
So good. Oh my god, it's so good. Although it's
There's,
interesting.
I don't
Sorry,
know
go
if
ahead.
you've seen. I don't know if you've seen the thread on GAF that's just Forza Horizon 3, photo mode, still images.
Gorgeous.
so
And every one of them is
good.
gorgeous. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, I could sit here and gush about this game for an hour. Like, Although I
No.
will say they've added drifting events this time, which I'm not a fan of drifting, but with this engine, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, it's just for as great as that demo was, like the game just continues to be that way. And right now, I've got to the point where I've really opened up the map. So I've just got tons of events to do right now. I've been building a team of drivatars. They've added a few interesting things in here. There's something that I haven't really messed around with too much, but it's called Convoy. So in the previous two games, when you're driving around, of course, your the drivatars of everybody basically on your friends list, as well as I think other people, they show up as rival cars in the game. That's not actually those people driving those cars, but it's it's using the drivatar system that Turn 10 has been using for Forza since I think Forza 5 or 4. Anyway, so like, you're driving around and you see, okay, there's this car up here and it's got a nameplate over it. So if you get behind it, you press X, then you start a rival race. But now if you get behind one of those cars and you honk your horn, they actually join a convoy. So you can get a bunch of drivatars driving with you, and it actually adds to your multiplier when you're doing because this game takes a lot of what you got from like Burnout as well, where it's like if you do a near miss, you get points, and if you slide around a turn, you get points, and if you're driving oncoming traffic, you get points, and all that stuff. And your convoy actually adds that stuff up a lot faster. And the other thing is when you're driving around with a convoy, they actually spot secrets for you. So secrets will appear on your map, like the barn finds or the
nice.
billboards that you can smash for experience points and credits and all that fun stuff. So I just started playing around with it tonight. And yeah, it's pretty neat. I haven't really felt what it does to the game so much, but it's a nice different feature. I have not tried multiplayer at all yet.
We need to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for you guys to get your copy, and I need to create a Player One car club as well.
Yes.
But I mean, from the demo, like when you play the full game, man, when you start getting into get up to Surfers Paradise and you start doing sort of the more urban races, and then you can get into the Outback, and it's the more wide open, very much Storm Island stuff from the previous game's expansion pack. It's just the environments are really varied in this version, which they were in the previous two games as well, but this one they seem really extremely different from one another. So yeah, I love it, man. I can't put it down.
The other thing you can do is you can create your own events, right? And
you can, yes, have
people race them.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I actually just got to a couple nights ago, which was like when you get to an event, you can usually pick to do like a single event or a tournament or something like that. But yeah, you can actually create your own where you build the track basically with waypoints, and you can challenge. You can and it goes out over the interwebs, and you can challenge your friends. They've really added a lot to this. And they didn't need to. Honestly, if it was just Forza Horizon 2, but in Australia, I would have been totally happy. But there's a lot of new stuff in here. So get it. If you haven't got it. Yeah,
this is the game.
It's going to be worth it. If you've got an Xbox One, you've got to have this game.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, this game, more than the rest of Microsoft's exclusive lineup, it's so much fun. Forza Horizon is one of their best series, and 3 is just... It's so good. The demo is so good. You've got it. You just got to try this game.
It just gives you so much freedom. Which we've talked about the Forza Horizon games before. Like, it's just open world racing done absolutely right. You can run into stuff and you can crash your car, but it doesn't wreck your car. And you have events where you're racing a train, and
yes.
It's just it's so
one of the demo. We forgot to really mention it last week. The demo starts you off. You're racing a Jeep, but the Jeep is being carried by a helicopter. Yeah. It's just so insane. It's great.
Yeah. And the latest showcase which is actually a throwback, I think, to the second game. But the latest showcase I played was a train. You're racing a freight train.
And
those showcases are great. And it's got weather changes, and like I said, it's got all the off-road racing. I mean, it's got everything. You got to buy it. You got to have that game.
Yeah.
Worth Nintendo on the chat is saying that he's Please do an Aussie accent. I cannot do an Aussie accent. But I bet you Phil can.
Hello.
That's not even close to an Aussie accent.
What are you doing?
There, that's it. You've got it.
Crikey, me hearties. What's all
And
the
at first, it was like
drippy
it was
Bobby?
like apt pupil or something.
What?
Oh Lord.
Okay, there you go. That's what you get when you ask about an Aussie accent.
Yeah.
Hey, Benjamin Rivers is on our chat too, and he's crazy about
Boy,
this
have
game.
you
Yes,
seen the
Ben,
latest
you
Yahoo
should've got
Serious?
it. Yahoo Serious. All right, let's do some tweets.
Let's do
Tweet
it.
it up. And I did not prepare for this at all. But here we go, because I love listening to Ethan talk about Vita. So we're going to start with this tweet, who's actually a guy that's in our chat right now, hacker alias Worth Nintendo. Do you think the Vita would have done better if more titles had cross-buy?
I don't think so.
I think the Vita
that,
would have been done better had it had games.
I don't. No, I don't think so on that one either. I think actually the best explanation for why the Vita failed was really nicely put together in an extra credits video, which I believe is just called "Why the Vita Failed." But basically, the idea is they built a machine that was more expensive to make games for than 3DS, and that made it just an untenable environment for people to build AAA games if they were not being subsidized by Sony or if they were not Sony themselves. And I think that was really the challenge. I think NX will avoid that fate explicitly because it's Nintendo's one platform and it's also something that goes to the television set. But having something that is as specific as an on-the-go gaming platform that's also nearly as expensive as building a PS3 game, I think that was the Achilles heel. I think it was too good, frankly. That was the problem with it.
It's too good.
I
think also
too good.
Also, Nintendo makes games that are very well styled for portables, and I don't think Vita games were necessarily going for that. Like they were. A lot of those games were more console-esque experiences, which works on a certain level for a certain type of gamer, but I think if you're doing a portable machine, you have to make something that's tailored for a portable experience, one that you can pick up and play 5 minutes of and then put down. So
the kids audience too. I mean,
too.
You look at the 3DS catalog and there's a lot of great kids stuff. When my son is bored, I've tried several times pulling out the Vita and handing him something, but there's nothing to give him to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point.
That's I think that's kind of a problem. I mean, the Lego games are one thing, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot of like kid-friendly content on the PS4 or Xbox One either.
Yeah, it's not like I can say, "Hey, Ali, here, you'll enjoy Danganronpa."
Is that one of your panty touch games?
What if he did though?
No, that's a really good game.
Well, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the problem. And Nintendo's strength has always been making a handheld device that's great for all audiences.
Yeah. I was surprised actually it took this long. I think Microsoft just announced a Minecraft pack-in with the Xbox One, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's smart.
They've done that because they have like the number one franchise in gaming, and they hadn't flexed that muscle yet. Surprising.
Are they trying to hold it back for HoloLens?
Maybe.
Moving on, hacker alias Wilbur Monkey, and I'm assuming he's asking actually why and not what here. Why do manufacturers limit pre-orders, as Sony and Nintendo seem to be doing with the PSVR and NES Classic?
It's allocation, right? They don't have enough to put into the channel.
It's partly allocation. I think
it's also to make sure there's something actually available on day one.
Yeah, you want units to be available in stores for people to buy. Right? You don't want it only to be people who pre-order it getting their Amazon boxes on day one. Like you want a mix of that.
It is this kind of fine line because when you have these massive shortages, as you did with say even the PS4 and the Xbox One when those launched, they were able to replenish pretty quickly, and that somehow psychologically made it more exciting to have gotten one or a couple weeks later get one than when the Wii U came out and I hadn't thought to pre-order and again could just walk into Best Buy and pick one up off the shelf at 4 in the afternoon the day it came out. Yeah.
One more here. Hacker alias Zero Kaiser says, if the Scorpio is the next, and by the way, it's Serpico, not Scorpio. If the Scorpio is the next Xbox and the NX get released in 2017, will that make PS4 a last-gen console next year?
No.
Generations. The definition of console generation is about to change.
It has definitely changed with this gen, right? I mean, because we've got the mid-cycle updates, and if the NX is what the rumors say it is, then
and it's not as powerful as a PS4.
Yeah, exactly. That's a no.
So I do have a question for all of you guys now, especially as we're going into another holiday where there haven't been, the announcement of a lot of AAA Sony games. And I love my PS4, but I'm wondering now more than ever, since I can also just put PC games to my television set as well, if I really needed to buy both the Xbox One and the PS4. I mean, I'm glad I could play Uncharted 4, and I'm sure, Greg, you're thrilled to play Forza, but I mean, the machines really are so similar that it just doesn't seem like retrospectively I needed
talking about this with a friend of mine recently, and especially because talking about Generation 16 and I've 16-bit games. I love 16-bit games and 8-bit games, and even when you get into the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn and the N64, those systems had, because of the specs and because of their architecture, they had so much personality. You knew you were playing an N64 game by the way it looked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Plus the controller was completely different than anything else. You knew you were playing a Saturn game. You knew you were playing Genesis or Super Nintendo or TurboGrafx 16, like from the way the games looked and sounded.
And you need, as a core fan, you needed all of them.
Right. You don't get that now.
No. Right.
Because the systems are so, they're just so close to each other in terms of horsepower, and everything just looks the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So
but
if you own one, like if you own a PS4, what's the reason for you to even consider also buying, well, other than Forza Horizon 3? Forza Horizon 3, yes, that is.
But going back to what we talked about earlier, is now that you can get that on PC.
Yeah, you can get it on PC.
On an Xbox One.
Well, and I guess that's the thing, is that like there have been strong exclusives on both, but if I had gotten just the PS4, I think that I could have ultimately lived with not getting Gears 4, just like I could have lived without getting Uncharted 4, because I really liked Uncharted 4 a lot, but not $400 worth.
No, I agree. It's it's a different world.
I say as I line up to get the NX and just bought another VR machine. So
that's what I'm so excited about the NX for. I mean, I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but like we were just saying, Nintendo consoles often offer a different experience, something you can't get from turning on your PS4, right? So when next year you have the Serpico that's offering, a 4K version of the games that you may already have played on the Xbox One or the PS4. Then you have the NX, which is offering something totally new. People will continue to ignore Nintendo, I'm sure, but I won't. I am excited for something different in this world of similar consoles.
Well, and again, to be fair, I think very often we want to be happy with our purchases. So when I was telling you I went to a friend's house to see 4K, he thought the Mass Effect video that he was showing me looked astonishing and like a world of difference. But then again, he just spent $1,200 on a 4K monitor.
Which gets back to what we were talking about before about, not having the 4K drive in the PS4 Pro, because the people who spent the money on a 4K TV are going to see the difference. they kind of
Right.
have to.
Right.
If you're not the kind of person that wants to see that difference, then you're not going to be the person who buys a 4K monitor.
Exactly, and I say that full well knowing that I would be the exact same way had I just dropped some coin on a 4K television. It's like, what do you mean you can't see the difference? It's night and day.
Put the motion smoothing on, then you'll really. be able to tell the difference.
smoothing. Gross. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be it for our show this week. CJ's about to do the outro, but before he does, want to call out the latest episode of Generation 16 is available. I know we talked about it last week, but I'm going to call it out again.
Yay!
Yeah. Episode 18. It's awesome. Go watch it. It's almost an hour long.
Wow.
54 minutes, right?
You will, yes. You will learn so much about Decap Attack.
Yes.
It'll make your head spin.
Chuck D head gets better with age, like fine wine. Really,
I absolutely agree because I used to not be able to stand that game, and now I can tolerate it. So, yeah. There's also a new video coming out on my channel as of Monday, which is tomorrow if you're watching this live, or yesterday if you're listening to this on iTunes. And also, I contributed an article to SegaDoes.com. We should have Dylan Cornelius on this show at some point. He's a really cool guy. He's the one who did reviewed every single American NES game at one point, and now he's going through every single Sega game ever released on home hardware, and he's actually up to 1990 right now. So anyway, I contributed an article that should go live again tomorrow if you're watching this live, or yesterday if you're listening to this on iTunes. And then one more thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is that I did have a couple of Extra Life mini marathons scheduled for the next few weeks. I've canceled those because I completely forgot that when the fall hits, my kids have a million different things to do on weekends. So I can't justify not doing those things multiple weekends in a row. So the next Extra Life Marathon is going to be the big one, which I'm actually going to be doing on November 19th. And I have decided that I'm actually going to do an NES-themed one this year.
Ooh.
All right.
So definitely keep an eye out on my page, extra-life.org/participant/Seward. I'll be putting details on there about how you can make a donation to pick a game that I play for an hour during that 24-hour period. Also, some people have started to generously offer prizes, raffle prizes, again this year. Actually, including Benjamin Rivers, who's in our channel right now. I've got to go through the stuff that he sent. So there'll be stuff to win. There'll be stuff to get me to play. So please pay attention to that. And yeah, we're coming up to it soon. It's less than 2 months away. So, and we still have about $4,000 to raise. So please come help me do that.
All right.
Oh, hey, if I can interject one thing before we go to the close, and this is a bit self-indulgent, but bear with me. So I got a note from Kabam saying that Star Wars Uprising, which I spent $80 in, is closing, and I'm getting nothing for it.
It's being sunset.
So it's being sunset. So I simply want to say that this game, which I'm holding up that people can't see, Trails of Cold Steel, Part 1 and 2, I spent exactly the same amount on it. It's 300
I bet
hours
you can
of
play
content
that for the rest of your life.
that I can indeed play for the rest
Also,
of my life.
is it-
representatives
so how many-
of BAM are going to show up at your door and take that away from you.
How many Star Wars characters in that game?
Yep. Star Wars characters in that game, you make your own characters up. There's 4 different types of characters you can play as. But
So Jedi,
yeah, it's just...
Sith.
In
Bounty
Trails of
Hunter.
Rebel.
Oh, and you can play as whatever Darth Maul is. You can play as that as
No,
well.
I'm talking about.
But, and
I'm
again,
talking about the replacement game you're telling us we should buy
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
How many Star
I
Wars
see what
characters
you're
are in
saying.
that game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There are no Star Wars characters in the game.
Goose egg.
I'm just saying it still is lousy for customers when you spend that kind of money and the game's taken away from you. That's all I'll say.
Here's all I will say. How much have you played of that game so far?
Of which game? Trails of Cold Steel?
Game you're holding up, yes.
About 50 hours.
Okay. How much do you expect to be playing that game in, let's say, 2019?
I don't know because I wasn't expecting to start jumping into Tactics Ogre or Valkyria Chronicles 2, which I ended up playing years after they released on the Vita, and I wasn't expecting to be keeping my Dreamcast hooked up, which I have set up to my main TV. So
at the age of 79, how much will you be playing that game?
point is I get to choose that at the age of 79. No one chooses it for me.
Okay.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm saying. That's all.
Nobody
taken.
puts Ethan in a corner.
How about this though? Counterpoint. Sunsets are beautiful.
Alrighty, and that's our show for this week. Thank you.
Haven't you ever
very
enjoyed
much for listening? If you have a question for
sitting,
us, or like to comment
looking
on
at a beautiful
something you heard,
sunset?
you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the
Your arm
Twitter,
around the
or you
shoulder
can
of
go to
a
our
pretty
internet
lady.
website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find
Maybe
our
enjoying
contact
a
information.
Nice picnic in the
You'll
grass.
find blog entries about Sega CD from Mr. Greg Seward.
The Popful Mail entry just went up last week as well. You should go check it out.
Full
Nice.
mail.
Popful Mail. And Generation 16 episodes, episode 18, available now. Live. And you'll find a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by heading over to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can also invest $1.99.
Keep.
Pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application. Gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, what have you. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listen device. And hey, Android cell phone telephone users, the Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listen device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
And we guarantee you
Will never be sunset.
will never sunset.
Not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee at all. No, not a guarantee at all. But still, we'll take your $2. And heck, if you like, we'll even dress up like a Star Wars character for you. And you can find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. You can like us on Facebook. We're on Stitcher Radio. You can watch us live most weeks.
To tape.
To digital video tape. And catch archives of our previous shows on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast. And if you've liked what you heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. It keeps Ethan swimming in in-app purchases that he will never, ever see again. That will be taken away from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mobile games is fickle.
Yep.
Mobile games is fickle.
It's a fickle mistress.
Yup. And if you have a couple bucks left over, you can head over to generation-16.com, where you can not only check out the latest and greatest episode 18 of Greg Seward's fantastic web series about America's favorite second banana, the Sega Genesis. You'll also find a link to his Patreon to throw a couple bucks his way, because obscure Hong Kong Genesis knockoff systems aren't going to buy
That wasn't
themselves.
a Genesis knockoff. That was an official South Korean Aladdin boy.
And
certainly sounds official.
Sega was beating Nintendo in the marketplace in 1995. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but what have they done for me lately?
Funnily enough, they're still beating Nintendo in the marketplace. I don't know how. it's less to do with their success and more an indictment of Nintendo. But
Well, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. CJ,
Yeah?
thank you
Yeah, you're welcome.
for all that you
You're
do,
welcome.
this
Yeah,
bud
thank you.
is for you.
and you do a lot.
You said doo-doo.
I said you do a lot.
Sure do.
And I used to live with this guy, so I know.
Separate bathrooms, though. Separate bathrooms.
It doesn't matter. You do a lot. A lot. It's not small. I see it down the hall. Hey.
What?
Greg,
Hi.
thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. And Ethan,
Yes, thank you for keeping it classy, Phil. Always appreciated.
My fondness for you, Ethan, will never sunset.
Aww.
There you go. You
Beautiful.
just take that to heart.
Beautiful.
And I guess we'll
Stick that in your
see.
pipe and smoke it.
I never lived with Ethan, so
No.
I don't know about his doo-doo.
We'll have to bring Seabake on one day and talk about that.
You know what I did find in the toilet one time when I went to the bathroom at Ethan's house, though? Good night,
What?
everybody.